Alright guys, it's official. Spyro x Velvet Crowe. Hello, this is the Obscure Titan with an episode revisit for the Megatronic Legacy writing series. We will be revisiting both Spyro and Velvet Crowe with some new info to explore. This is specifically the relationship we'll tackle, apart from mentioning that Shantae and Smokescreen will not be in Spyro's team, with Velvet in their place instead. This will be the primary focus in this episode revisit. We'll take a look at both Spyro 2 and the Legend of Spyro trilogy to look over at Allura and Cinder's roles. Then, we'll discuss Dark Redemption, leading to the Peace Era in the mid-80s to the early 90s, and then ending with the Celestial Calamity. There won't be a finalization this time around since this writing saga is complete. Spoilers up ahead. Let's crash and burn! Prior to the main storyline of Spyro 2, Allura and her friends were at Winter Tundra testing the Super Portal. It led to Hunter using his birthday, April 22nd, 1975. Whatever the hell that is. Of course, Ripto emerges and wants to take over. Once his plot was foiled, the professor suggests Glimmer to be a good place to get dragons. Spyro was summoned and met Allura after getting through the first level of the game. Throughout this game, Allura helps Spyro gather the talismans and orbs to defeat the Riptok. After Ripto is vanquished, Allura kissed Spyro in the head as a way to thank him for his success, and wishes him well in his vacation in Dragon Shores. The relationship between Spyro and Allura is more romantic, though he missed his chance to do so. The former still expressed interest in spending time with him in Spyro 3. The Reignited trilogy makes it more apparent, given Toys for Bob's portrayal of the character as more playful and easygoing. As a rare opportunity for Crowe Studios, Cinder was a female villain in A New Beginning. Eventually she grew to having a part of the Spyro mythos, a powerful and dark dragon. She was portrayed to be Spyro's nemesis in the first entry of the trilogy. She was Malefor's servant who got morphed into a giant black dragon capable of destruction under his control. The dark dragon led an army of apes to ravage the realms. Throughout the game, Spyro and Sparx travel to rescue the dragon guardians and face Cinder in the end, going into Eternal Night onwards. Cinder feels a great deal of guilt and doesn't deserve to be with the dragons. Spyro tried helping her back, but didn't work. A shame the potential co-op in Eternal Night didn't pan out in the end. From there, Spyro grew to care for Cinder emotionally and risked his life to saving her. As we get to Dawn of the Dragon, both dragons work together to battle Malefor and his forces. It's apparent that Cinder is showing a desire to grow from her dark past to her bright future. This one isn't as romantic as with Allura's, though this is more emotional in comparison, to the point where you wondered why Twilight couldn't do it so well. I can see where all the passion in this pairing is coming from, because that's what I've been seeing on the internet. And probably a little too much, may I say. This relationship begins in the start of Dark Redemption. Velvet Crowe is freed from prison after the Genie Realm got depowered, and searches throughout Starlight Gate to find a way out. However, Etna's forces invade it, and Spyro's crew wake up to see it. Spyro's crew and Velvet cross paths and all fought against Etna's forces. This leads to the heroes and villains colliding into a portal going to Mystica, Mysilika's homeworld. Throughout this adventure, Spyro and Velvet join forces while Flan and Conqueror are missing and look for him. At this point, Velvet holds a strong disdain towards people following Mysilika's betrayal, and isn't willing to open herself up to Spyro about her problems. She continues to keep herself at a distance socially and is only interested in taking revenge on her former ally from 1979. Somewhere close to the midpoint of the story, Spyro and Velvet cross paths with Etna. Now, the scene could have had Vuporak or General Zolkar, though the latter would be reserved for Buzz and Nixon since this could lead to the General's death. Either way, the scene goes like this. Immediately, she proceeds to kill the female lieutenant. However, Etna used her cunning to place Velvet deep into a dark cavern where she's being pulled into the dark water. Spyro goes down to rescue her and manages to get themselves to a spot where Velvet can breathe. Despite their initial introduction prior, Velvet saw Spyro's actions. He saved her life from drowning at Etna's attempted murder. She leans closer to knowing about Spyro's struggle to help others as well as he eventually does for her. Both have shared bits of themselves knowing about their origins. Velvet had a family that cared for her and had a wonderful childhood up until nasty Nork's invasion of her homeland. Spyro shares the same sentiment, minus the knowledge of his parents. As the story progresses, Spyro and Velvet grew to watch over each other in the battle against Miss Elika. Velvet also opens up about the people she knew since Nasty's invasion and her resentment pushing her deeper into a darkened despair. Despite that, Spyro continues to put himself in her place, desiring to lift her out of the darkness she's lived in for 15 years. When all said and done, Spyro and Velvet became closer to each other. They encountered Miss Elika prior to Energon fusion and worked together to defeat the Dark Queen. Spyro's determination and compassion inspires Velvet Crowe to see the good in others, especially those who came to her time of need. This sparks memories of her experiences with Jimmy Carter and his wife when she left her homeworld, and Etna's aid in Velvet retaliation. Overwhelmed by these emotions, Velvet regrets pushing good people away and accepting bad ones. The important thing Spyro taught her, either directly or otherwise, was that those who helped her out of genuine love are your true friends. In the end of this story, Spyro, Velvet, Flan, and several others use a Spyro mech to defeat Miss Elika and Joe Biden. Once it was all said and done, there's a few other key factors that contribute Velvet's personality slowly shifting from her resentment to compassion. Buzz Lightyear saved Richard Nixon's life from Energon fusion Miss Elika and got both his chest and legs crushed. This intense moment of Nixon struggling to save his friend motivated Velvet to helping others in need. Once Spyro's allies returned to America, Velvet spends time with him and the others. Flan was a bit uneasy having her around due to the experiences in Velvet retaliation, but over time, Velvet was showing genuine interest in Spyro and the others he cared for. Whenever Velvet had more trouble getting some stuff done, Spyro comes in to help, given her only having one arm. Empathizing with the woman's loss of family and arm, Spyro asks President Reagan and Conker if they'd be willing to whip up a prosthetic arm. In this scenario, Talatia jumps in to help. The Conciliarian brings in some of his advanced technology to build one. Spyro remembers Velvet telling him about her birthday being on October 24th, 1956. He decides to set up a birthday party at Whittier, California, in celebration of Spyro's success and Miss Elika's downfall. But he used his success to celebrate Velvet's birthday, putting it before himself. In this act of kindness, Spyro, Talatia, and Conker prepared presents, cakes, and games for Velvet. The last one she opened was a prosthetic robot arm that is up to the same length as her right one. Overwhelmed by this moment, Velvet couldn't stop tearing up in joy for all of this. At this point, Velvet trusts Spyro, to the point of loving him. A part of her character from Dark Redemption is inspired from Cinder in some way. Both were servants of an evil figure until somewhere in the story they turned to the good side. Main difference is that Cinder was controlled by Malefor and her defeat sides with Spyro. This continuity, Velvet chose to ally with Miss Elika and believed that she would actually do good. Pity it ended badly. But it was Spyro's actions of compassion that inspired Velvet to learn more about why he'd go to great lengths to helping others. Following Velvet's birthday in 1985, she spent more time with the Purple Dragon. Whether it's vacations in Panama City, Florida, their travels across the West Coast, or just regular walks across San Diego, California, Spyro has essentially welcomed Velvet Crowe a chance to grow as a person, forgiving people, seeing some good in them, and enjoying life. She's been the happiest since her childhood prior to Nasty Nork's invasion. Velvet Crowe's growth as a person has left Spyro feeling fulfilled. They grew to being more than just friends, war buddies who have a special bond. In this final arc, Velvet's place in her faith could be explored. Regardless if Spyro is center right-leaning and Velvet center left-leaning, the only thing that they have in common is the fact that they're agnostic. The Purple Dragon grows to know more about the lore behind Primus and Unicron. Despite their apparent sovereignty, Unicron and Primus have grown to have become totalitarian socialists, the former already being one since the beginning. Spyro is determined to free other people from any form of communism. Another aspect of Spyro's character is the inspiration Ronald Reagan brought throughout his childhood. Velvet sees his anti-communist view and desire to free other people from a totalitarian darkness as well. No matter who they confront in war, Velvet Crowe would always be by Spyro's side and give people the same right to freedom as the Purple Dragon does. She works to help Spyro succeed because at the end of the day, they're friends with a strong desire for life, freedom, and perseverance. Following Megatron's convoy's demise, Velvet Crowe enjoys a peaceful life with Spyro through the rest of President Conker's second term. I'm sure this episode revisit was a bit of a hot take as to whom Spyro could be paired with in terms of romance, though I don't deem it to be a romantic couple. It's something thought would be explored in a more emotional sense in their relationship. But you know what else is a hotter take? Conker would make a better president than George Bush.
Read my lips.
Tune in next time for the second episode revisit, and we'll be done with this writing series. And it's production time! Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe and like, and I'll catch you all next time. Over and out.